Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed since last time. Malala was robbed! I'll get to the government shutdown stuff in a minute, but let me just get this off my chest right out front. The 2013 Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. And look, I'm not dogging the OPCW. They do very important and sadly very necessary work, and they deserve all the support and all the accolades they can get. But come on! Malala Yousafzai survived an assassination attempt by the Taliban and has gone on to become an even more visible and staunch advocate of children's education than she was before they tried to kill her. She has essentially spent every waking moment since her assassination attempt sticking it up the Taliban's collective ass and showing more grace and guts than any 10 people you could name put together. Who knew it was so fucking hard to win a Nobel Peace Prize? Truck drivers protest unconstitutional government by not clogging Capitol Beltway. Week before last, during the government shutdown, a group of truck drivers organized a protest. They hoped to draw over 3,000 of their fellow truck drivers to the Capitol Beltway and jam the highways surrounding Washington, D.C. Didn't quite work out that way. Only 30 trucks actually showed up, and traffic on the Beltway wasn't affected at all. And what were they protesting anyway? Was it the government shutdown? Was this a case of the working man finally standing up against those Tea Party politicians who've been cynically double-dealing them for over 3 years, promising to look after their interests while fucking them every chance they got? No, they just wanted the black guy to resign. Former Republican Party executive thinks transgender people should be sent to concentration camps. Todd Kincannon, a former executive director of the South Carolina Republican Party and ideally named incestuous porn star, recently tweeted that he thinks transgender people should all be put in a camp. Kincannon's statement is ugly and bigoted, and I fear the sort of thing that many members of his party would wholeheartedly agree with. But isn't it nice how Twitter seems to encourage assholes like this to expose themselves to the rest of us? Because bigoted pieces of shit like Todd Kincannon have always been a part of American politics. It's just that until relatively recently, they had to go through more formal channels to make public statements. Now, any dipshit with a computer or a smartphone can share the foul contents of his black, twisted psyche with the entire world. And this is ordinarily seen as a bad thing for our culture, and I get that. But at least when you give megaphones to morons, you always know where they are. Tea Party governance costs U.S. economy billions. Well, the government shutdown is finally over. It was resolved last week. Federal employees went back to work, and they will be paid back wages for the time they missed. Unfortunately, not all of the damage done by the shutdown can be repaired so readily. Standard & Poor's estimates that the 16-day shutdown cost the U.S. economy $24 billion. That's the entire annual budget of NASA for 2014, plus $8 billion. Another study conducted by the independent research firm Macroeconomic Advisors, published last week, estimates that the sequester cuts and the series of manufactured crises over the budget and the debt ceiling that have dominated Congress over the last 3 years have cost the economy a total of $700 billion. That's almost as much as the direct cost of the entire Iraq War. So, keep that one in your pocket for the next time somebody bitches about how expensive the food stamp program is. The Republican Party strikes a blow for spite. I won't deny that I got a certain Willy Wonka-esque satisfaction from the way the government shutdown was resolved, with the Republican Party finally admitting defeat and surrendering with none of its deranged, petulant demands having been met. But what I keep coming back to is how pointless this whole thing was. The futile act of petty, cavalier men and women who are insulated from the harm they are all too willing to inflict on vulnerable people. One obvious response to this is to vote against anyone responsible for this horrible little episode come the 2014 elections, which won't be too hard since the ones most responsible are also the ones who have crowed the loudest and the proudest. But the only way to keep this sort of thing from happening again and again is to deny political rewards to those who would seek to blame most of our problems on those of us who have the least. As long as it pays politically to demonize the poor, as long as we continue to confuse cynical exploitation of military veterans with patriotism, we leave ourselves open to regrettable affairs like this government shutdown. And a shift in our political culture of that magnitude won't be easy to achieve, and I'm not even sure that we're up to it. But I hope like hell we are. The hardest part is only picking five. Catch you next time.